Good morning, lovely tubers. White Mexican back again with another Market Watch Investments video today. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day, making some amazing Yu-Gi-Oh investments yourself. Getting things started today, we're going to begin with Imperial Order. This is a Generation 1, very nostalgic, amazing, old school secret rare dawning out of PSV. We're talking about Pharaoh Servant, ladies and gentlemen. Really, really awesome, great card. And was banned for the longest time. It's currently not banned. It's actually been off for quite a few of the lists, and it's holding some pretty great values. Unlimited is really nothing to be concerned about by any means. But the first editions is where we start to see an influx price all the way up to about 50 bones, which is pretty incredible. So we're just turboing through the pages here. Not many first editions on the market. And the first editions are going to be coming on the 6th page. And the first print is going to be about 50 bones plus. So that is pretty incredible, right at 50 bones price point. A couple different listings here, all one stacks. So if you guys have first edition Imperial Orders, that's really good money. This is like an all-time high. It's been a little bit since I reviewed this card, and it was kind of roughly almost at this price point, if around the same. It's kind of maintaining now. Obviously, this card is ancient as hell, and it got an errata, which really hurt a lot. It watered it down a whole bunch, but it's got really good artwork, really great history behind this card. It was banned forever, and it's holding some great solid price points. So if you're a collector, it's a good thing to have, or if you guys want to sell it, I just kind of wanted to spotlight that. Do a little Doppel review. Next is going to be another Floodgate, Rivalry of the Warlords. This is the highest rarity as a super rare print, downing out of Hidden Summoners. This is still a really good side card depending on what's going on with the meta. Pretty cool artwork. Again, took forever to finally get a hollow foil print of this. And these are sitting around roughly around 2 bones. 2 bones, a little bit over if you want to factor in shipping. Not really a whole bunch of stacks here on the first page. 5 pages available, so that's pretty cool. And of course, you gotta mention Goes and Match, kind of the twin brother to the card. Really cool 6 Samurai artwork here. Same thing, basically just kind of the opposite side of the spectrum to kind of encompass a different side of the play state. And this one is a little bit cheaper. It's around the same. It's about 2 bones if you want to factor in shipping. And there's also, interesting enough, 5 pages of this as well, and this was also dawning out of Hidden Summoners as well. Same with this. Only other versions were common prints for both of these, and these super rares are the highest rarities we have. And as time goes on, as these get a little bit more difficult, Hidden Summoners is a relatively still new-ish set. I think it came out in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, so still readily available. Next, kind of to be part of like the trio of Floodgates, kind of summoning limiting conditions. There can only be one. There is the original OG print super rare, which I would personally prefer, or the dual devastator ultra rare. Not really gonna go too much into that. I personally would prefer the super rare, so I'm just gonna kind of spotlight that really quick. This is very cheap, pretty cool artwork. This is definitely kind of I would say more of an up to date. It all just depends. Very situational. Goes in Rivalry are really great depending on the circumstances. You always side in depending on what's going on with your circumstances, and there can only be one is definitely no stranger to that. This card is incredibly cheap right now. It's about 2-ish bones if you factor in shipping. There isn't really too many fat stacks here really at all on the first page. There's 5+ pages. So talked about this card before. It's not the first time, won't be the last time. This is a fantastic side choice, and it's really cheap. And this is the original OG print, so I'll definitely go and dip into those first editions. Next is going to be Anti-Spell Fragrance. I review this card a lot. I really, really believe in this card a lot. I think this is a really underrated Floodgate. This is just, it can be a very devastating, like many side Floodgates, can be very devastating depending on the meta and what kind of decks your opponent is playing. Your opponents are playing. Really great rarities. There is a Dual Terminal 4. There's a Prismatic Secret Rare from Power of Chaos game promo. And really, that's really going to be the only 2 prints that I would really think would be worth investing in. All the other reprints and stuff is just really not great rarities. Ultra rares, common, stuff like that. My personal preference for the price would be the DT4 version. These are rares. And anything, you know, DT has been completely discontinued by Konami. They're no longer using DT, so it's fortunate, kind of unfortunate, because for those that are investing in DT or have DT, there's definitely good potential for price increases and more kind of collectability on that on its own merit alone. Again, DT, me personally, I mean, I'm a big fanboy of DT. I love all the DT foiling. I think it looks really, really great. And this is about 5 bones starting. There's a 3 stack here, and then it quickly jumps up to almost about 7 and kind of just trickles up after that. Only 2 pages left. 5 stack is the fattest stack here on the first pages, so definitely some limited quantities on that, but pretty great all around. Really quick, I'm going to dip into the Prismatic Secret Rare because, I mean, it goes without saying that's the highest rarity. It's also game promo, so it makes it a little bit more, per se, difficult to get. It's a very old game promo. Kind of funny story about this card is this card really did not get prevalent or good until, I would say, or no one really noticed it until a couple years ago, when people realized that, like, what a blowout card this is and just what a great control card this is. Its price rocketed quite significantly. It's holding about a 15 bone price point, which is actually kind of low. Pretty sure if I'm remembering correctly, the last time I reviewed this card was about 20 plus, so it's decreased a little bit, which is good for those of you who don't have it. I think I only have a playset or 2 playsets of this myself personally, and I think I did pay quite a bit trying to get these because unfortunately I kind of missed the train on this before the whole initial spike several years ago. 4 pages left of this, and there is 2 3 stacks, and the rest are 1 stack, so not really a whole bunch of availability on the first page. But again, this is a really great prismatic deep foiling, really cool artwork, and it's just a blowout standalone Floodgate. Next is going to be Royal Decree. So I always run 3. It pretty much doesn't really matter what deck I'm running. My side, I always reserve 6 slots for 2 playsets. 1 playset of Royal Decree and 1 playset of Twin Twister. I really do like MST a lot. That 1-for-1 variability is really nice. Twin Twister is just a little bit more kind of my style for what's going on right now, but that changes. I usually toggle out Twin Twisters with MST depending on what is going on, but undoubtedly I always do rock a pack of 3 for Royal Decree and Twin Twisters, or, you know, alternatively Twin MST, if depending what's going on. Some really amazing prints of this. Of course, we have the Godly Super Collectible Ultra Rare Tournament Pack 4, which is kind of unattainable here. It's a pretty crazy price point, but you know, obviously good in its own merit alone for collectability purposes. Tournament Pack 6 is another really great one too. I do want to take a look at this really quick just to kind of do a point of reference for prices, because they don't do a terribly accurate job here with the previews on TCG Player, so you kind of got to dip into, make sure you get the appropriate details that you guys are looking for. Only 1 page is super rare, so that's kind of offsetting. It looked like there's a little bit more here. So 2 stacks are the largest, and they're only about 20 bones, which I think is really not bad for what it is, how old this set is. Tournament Pack is very, very old. Now, granted, it's just a super rare, but remember, this is a Tournament Pack super rare, which makes it really, really high collector's value. I have a couple of these myself. I think I have, I want to say 2 or 3 play sets of this. I got them a long time ago, several years ago, when they were significantly cheaper. I don't remember the exact price point I got them at, but let's go ahead and dip into the Ultra really quick. So this was actually the original OG. If I'm not mistaken, if I have my history correct, I believe this was the first print ever of this card, and it specifically only exclusively came out of this Tournament Pack 4, which is really cool. It's donning a pretty high price point here. I'm actually surprised that it's not more right now for what it is, because this card is just extremely ancient, and it's really, really difficult to get. There's only 2 price points here, and you can see it's about 140, and then it jumps to a whopping 575. Now, obviously, it's going to be kind of hard to push this card off for that price point. I don't really know who would actually be willing to pay that price point for this card. It is a very powerful card. This is the highest rarity, the most difficult print to get, which I totally understand. But this is pretty much only this high. There's just so much of a price comparison. Is because it's so rare. It's old and no one really has this. People aren't going in their grandma's attics digging these out. Probably the majority of them were destroyed from like little kids like a long time ago. Really, the only ones that are going to be left are going to be the prime collector's market ones. So that's kind of the reasoning behind that. But we're not done. There's also some other great alternatives. If you guys don't want to go for the tournament pack collector status, there also is some really healthy alternatives that are a lot more affordable. Next would probably be the Hobby League 3. This is pretty cool because it's a parallel ultra. You have to be careful with Hobby League cards. I'm not really sure exactly who manufactured these cards. I believe it was under the Upper Deck contract, if I have my history right. Comment below if you guys know. I don't really know if it's 100% accurate, but these were manufactured by another. They're outsourced outside of Konami, so Konami did not physically produce the card stock for these and manufacture these particular Hobby League sets. So they're a little bit thicker, and the formula was different or something in the card stock, and they tend to bow really heavily. So you have to be very, very careful with these cards. They definitely kind of stand out in sleeves. So you guys should be fine in local tournament play, but if you go on higher echelons of competitive play, you potentially could be called out on that for kind of marking cards. So I'd be very, very careful about that. But they are very beautiful cards, very aesthetically pleasing cards, especially from this set from Hobby League 3. They did very, very well with the foiling on the Parallel Ultra. These are about 12-ish bones, and they kind of trickle up to about 13 plus after that. Only 2 pages of this, so definitely getting chewed up in the market. There's be significantly more amount of value or of quantity of this card, but people are kind of just eating up. This is definitely my top choice after if you want to pull through the Ultra and the Supers from the tournament packs. This one would definitely be my personal choice if you're wanting to go for a little bit more easier available print with a really nice rarity. We have super rares from Dark Beginning. We have the ultra rares from Legendary Collection 3. Yugi's World, one of my all-time favorite reprint sets. There's a lot of really awesome cards in here, great rarities. You have the Dusa one, which is really cool on its own merit alone. Dusa stands still to this date the only set that has like this special like laser beam foiling. So really great uniqueness and kind of collectability on its own merit alone for that. And then, of course, you have a Dual Devastator did an ultra rare, and then Secret Forces also did another super rare print. So kind of up to you. Again, I think this card is really, really important. Chainburn isn't really prevalent anymore. I know it kind of pops up once in a while, but I just think this is a really, really critical card to have in your side deck for just diversity in general and kind of just for all around whatever is going on in the meta and what you're going to run into. It keeps you pretty ready, pretty variable. Next is going to be Vanity Scheme. This is still a ban card. This has been on the list for quite a while. This is one of those ban cards that definitely has potential to come back. Again, my rule of thumb, kind of some white Mexican logic there for you guys, is everything has potential to come off the ban list. It's just a matter of if it gets an errata. Now, obviously, erratas, they decrease the value to make cards a little bit less desirable to play, but the sheer hype alone that cards coming off the ban list or potentially coming off the ban list is going to increase prices. People kind of buy into that hype. They get excited about that with kind of the hope of getting these cards released so they become playable in the game state again. I don't really see this card getting errated if it does come off the list because it kind of has a fail-safe on it, which kind of levels it out. I mean, it's still, don't get me wrong, it's a really, really powerful card, but I think eventually it definitely does have potential to come off, like every card does, and when it does, I think it's pretty safe on the merit of not getting errated. And it's kind of maintaining, it's about 11 bones starting price. There's not really a lot of fat stacks on the first page, only 3 pages available, and this is just an all-around really great card. Unfortunately, it's kind of at that price point where it's kind of uncomfortable. Like you don't really want to pull the trigger on it because this card used to be like 5 3s for all day long. That was a couple of years ago, I want to say, when I got my copies, but it has potential to go down. I mean, our list just dropped not too long ago, so it's going to be a little bit before we have another list. So we're kind of in between seasons of price fluctuation. So it's all up to you guys. I definitely recommend that you guys get at least 3 copies of this just to have on deck. There is, of course, other alternative versions like the Star Strike Blast Original Common, which, you know, wouldn't be too bad as long as you get first edition print, of course. There's also a super rare Dawning on a Secret Forces, which is, you know, barely a bone itself, which would be another healthy alternative, but nothing is going to outbeat the legendary secret rare. It just looks very, very gorgeous, and it's always going to hold the highest price point, but it's always going to be require the biggest investment, so I'll leave that up to you guys. Next is going to be Vanity's Fiend. So this is definitely the most popular Vanity's monster. A lot of people talk about this card, and there's actually two different Ultimate Rare versions of this. It's only showing the OTS pack version here, Ultimate Rare. There's also another Ultimate Rare, actually the original Ultimate Rare, dying from Cyber Dark Impact. So I'm not gonna look that up, but I'm just, you know, giving you guys some education. There is two versions of the Ultimate Rare prints of this, so I would personally go for, depending on the price point, I'm not really familiar. It's been a while since I've looked up the OG Ultimate Rare print. First editions, they've got to be pretty ungodly because Cyber Dark Impact is an extremely old set. But alternatively, if you just want to have the Ultimate Rare, you have an alternative choice to get the OTS Tournament Pack 1, which is roughly around 30 bones. And there is a couple Ultra Rare prints here. There's two Ultra Rare prints here and some commons. Unfortunately, I wouldn't really dip too hard or too heavily in these. If you need one just to have to play, I mean, that's pretty great. I would even maybe go for the rares, maybe like the Champion Pack 7 rare or maybe the OG rare. But this card is definitely worth investing in the Ultimate Rare. Again, I would definitely recommend the original Ultimate Rare. I always think that just because of age and collectability value, it's always going to kind of don a higher price point than the OTS pack. But then again, OTS packs, like, once they're out, and they're done. So that is definitely going to hold great value as well. So I just wanted to showcase that really quick. Next is going to be Mizuki. So I'm an avid zombie player. I really, really love zombies. I've been kind of messing around with a lot of different builds, and I really like Shaddolls too, and I've actually tried to blend zombies with Shaddolls. I've been messing around for quite a while. Probably some of the more popular builds that I've been playtesting with has been Shaddolls Lightsworn and Shaddolls Dark World. It's been working out pretty well. Excuse me, I have to get a drink. So Mizuki, this is an all-around great time. Great card to run in zombies. There's few to none players that I'm aware of that don't run at least one copy of this. Some of the builds that I've messed around with, I run 3 copies just because I really, really love this card. Pretty cool artwork. There's some really great rarities. There's the Dual Saga Ultra Rare. There's the Premium Pack Secret Rare, which is really great too. And there is the Dual Terminal 7, which for the price, I mean, of course, the Secret Rare being the highest rarity, and it's, you know, very aesthetically pleasing. It looks really, really nice. Premium Pack did a really good job with their artwork. They really kind of blended the foiling, and it just looks really, really great. I have a few cards from this set personally, and it just, the Secret Rare is one of my all-time favorite rarities. It's my second favorite rarity to Ghost Rare, so I have a lot of appreciation for it. It's going to start off at about 18 bones, and it kind of slowly trickles up. There's a 9 stack here right at the top, which is pretty cool, and there's only 2 pages of that, so it's kind of up to you. 20 bones is kind of steep, but Mizuki's really good, and this is the highest rarity, and of course it's Premium Pack, which is kind of one of those obscure, kind of not really well-known sets, side sets, that is pretty cool history behind that. Of course, you have the Dual Saga version, which at the time when Dual Saga first dropped, because it was so new and it was such an abundant stock, everyone, I think the kind of a mass opinion of the set was it's kind of cheap and over like manufactured, because Dual Saga was pretty hyped up and there was a lot of people investing into it, and there's just pounds of these cards all over the place. But now, as it's getting up there in age and it's becoming a lot more scarce to get on the market, even for singles for certain cards, you can see some pretty natural price growth of the cards, and it's roughly around 3-ish bones. And there's 3 pages left to the 12 stack here. Well, that's Korean though, so disregard that. So that's another pretty nice version. Again, I don't normally like Ultra Rares out of like Gen 1 collector stuff like Dual Monsters era, but this is Dual Saga, so on its own merit alone, it's got that special extra foiling that's exclusive to DUSA. Dual Terminal 7 commons. This would probably be, out of all of them, this would probably be my top choice. Now, granted, it is still a common, but let's not forget that it is DT common. As I said before, DT is discontinued. You can no longer get these. Konami is not manufacturing this rarity anymore, so there's definitely going to be some great price value on that alone. These are about $1 to roughly around $2 before factoring in shipping, and there's only 3 pages left. All these are one stack, so definitely some pretty low quantities of this card. This would be my personal preference for the versions, though, for Natsuki. Next is going to be Archlord Christia. So I kind of go in and out reviewing, kind of highlighting this card. I think this card is amazing. It's one of the best just standalone monsters that we have in the game. I think is just like a Fossil Dyna with like a giant beat stick. It's a light, it's a fairy, it's a level 8. I think it's a level 8. I'm pretty sure it's a level 8 if I'm not mistaken. The secret rares are off the charts. It's insane. This card has always been holding a really great price point, but even now, the first editions have always been really difficult to find. Stardust Overdrive, I don't know if it was kind of like a little less underproduced, but naturally alone being an old set, relatively, well, it is an old set now if you look at the time spectrum. It's just hard to get, and this was just a really popular card. This has always been just a powerhouse card. I feel like this card kind of gets overlooked, and people really kind of forget about this. A lot of the new players are coming in, and they don't know the legends and just like the infamous history between Archlord Christia and in like kind of like Agents format back in the day. This is kind of when I came back into the game after high school, and this was a really beautiful time in Yu-Gi-Oh! It was a lot of fun. But even the Unlimiteds alone, the first price point is dining 95 bones, and it just quickly jumps up to 100 after that. And these aren't even first edition, so it just goes to show like how difficult and how scarce the market is on this card, more specifically the first editions. And you can just see here, it just keeps on trickling up and up and up all the way to 145 plus. Only 3 pages left here on the market. We have a couple different European prints over here, and still on the bottom we get the first editions for a whopping 350 bones. Is the cheapest first edition as a lightly played here on TCG Player. It's pretty incredible. This is not only hitting like, but just there's so much that this card has going on. It's an amazing meta card. It's got amazing stats. It has amazing artwork. It is a secret rare, and it is, it's a collector's card because of just its history and how old it is, and just how prevalent it goes like in and out of the meta depending on what's going on. It's been a very, very long time since this card has seen some pretty big time play. I haven't really read any articles or any big decks that have been running it, because there's kind of just been, just the flavor of the seasons of late. But this is still a very, very amazing good card. This is right up there with like Dark Arm Dragon, Judgment Dragon. There's just a lot of just great standalone cards. Red Eyes Metal Darkness Dragon. Just some of these just OG, just standalone cards like Lackluster Soldier that are just really somewhat generic depending on what decks you're playing, and they run really, really smooth, and they're just powerhouse cards. So I just kind of wanted to review that really quick. Next is going to be Denko Sekka. So this is, in my personal opinion, now, I was mentioning you guys before, I run play sets of Decree and either MST or Twin Twister. I go pretty hard on the back row kind of removal when it comes to my side stuff, because a lot of the decks that I play get hurt really bad by Floodgates. So Denko Sekka, this is, I actually run this in my Shaddolls. One, because it's a light, and because it's kind of like a Royal Decree on legs. Its stats aren't the best, but I mean, it is a level 4, it's a light. It's got, it's relatively cool artwork. The artwork is pretty cool, and they got some really great rarities, like more specifically the Battles of Legends Secret Rare reprint. We have 3 different versions of Ultra Rares to choose from. The only thing that I think is really going to hold any great price value is going to be the original New Challengers OG print. But this card is just so cheap, and it's been cheap. Like, it's literally been 2 bones for, like, years. Like, pretty much since Battles of Legends has come out. I really like this set a lot. I went pretty hard in this set. I actually still have first edition sealed boxes of this, because I knew that this card, this set was, this was a transition set. Konami changed the way they manufacture the cards. They updated the attribute on the top right corners of the cards, and the level stars. And they did it for different things for the magics and traps as well. So this was a transition set, and it's the first time that they, well, not the first time, but it was just a set that kind of did the new printings and how they kind of manufacture the hollow foiling the card. So still about 2 bones before you factor in shipping. There's a 6 stack here. and there's about 5+ pages. So completely up to you guys what you guys want to do. I think this is a fantastic side card. I think everyone needs to have at least a playset of this. And it's just insane. I'm really actually surprised why this has stayed this low. This is such a good card. I guess kind of because it can kind of potentially backfire depending on what you're playing. But this is an amazing card, and when you're playing really aggressive decks, this is a really great choice. Next is going to be Elemental Hero Stratus. So when this card originally came out, I think it was roughly around 30-40 bones back in the day when OTS Pack was prevalent. It was like brand new, fresh off the press. This is the fanboy of heroes. So there is a lot of hero players out there. Heroes are constantly getting some really crazy support. I think Konami's super biased to this deck. They're always giving them some kind of they have like the biggest support system in the game, I think. You have masked heroes, you have dark heroes, you have just normal elemental heroes, the destiny heroes. There's so many different, even just like offset hero players, because there's a lot of diversity and they have a lot of support. It's pretty insane. I'm actually really jealous that they get so much spotlight and so much support, but it's kind of just the way that Konami decided to run the sets. So really quickly, I want to take a look at the Ultimate Rare. Of course, this is the highest rarity that we have here in the TCG player. It took forever for this card to get unbanned. It was kind of interesting. I think Konami did a really great marketing tactic that is pretty much essentially as soon as this card was lifted off the forbidden list, they gave it an Ultimate Rare print, which was pretty incredible. I thought that was a very, very smart marketing move on them. It's sitting at roughly around 83 as a starting point, and it quickly trickles up to about 90, and then it goes to about 95. Only 3 pages left here on the market. All these are 1 stacks except for this 3 stack right here. So, you know, the crazy thing is, this is gonna go up. I really think this is gonna go up. It's kind of sad to say that I really wish I pulled the trigger earlier on this, because again, it was like $30-$40 when it first dropped. I remember, I think it was like back in like 2017, maybe early 2018. I don't really remember. Probably 2018, probably more 2018 time frame. I was currently living in Japan at the time, and one of my all-time favorite Yu-Gi tubers, VCTRFSFSFSF. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pisano is his name now. He's really inspiring. He's one of my all-time favorite YouTubers, and he kind of like motivated me and kind of got me into, you know, making my own market watch investments videos. He kind of started it all for me. So really great guy. And so, yeah, I don't know. That's all I really wanted to say about this. I think this definitely is going to go up. Hero players are crazy, and this is an Ultimate Rare. Ultimate Rare is relatively difficult to get now, and I don't know. It's a big investment, because it's pretty much dawning right at that $100 price point. But I definitely think it has potential to go up. It's just a matter of when. And if I had some extra funds right now, I probably would pull the trigger and go ahead and get a playset just to have for myself and kind of see how much the price point fluctuates over the years. But if you don't want to do a big investment, there is some other great alternative prints, like the Dual Terminal 3 Rares, the Shonen Jump Ultra Rares. Oh, there's actually 2 Shonen Jump Ultra Rares. Apparently, the magazine one's a lot more expensive than this other magazine one. And there was a common, which is a lot of money for some reason. And there is a couple different versions here. But really, honestly, I wouldn't, even though the Ultras have a little bit higher collectability and price point, I would still always go for the DT. More specifically, this isn't even common, this is rare. And I really love DT. I mean, this is the 3rd DT card that I'm reviewing in this video. It's obvious I'm an avid fanboy. I'm an avid fan of DT. I really believe in it. I think there's nowhere for DTs to go besides up, especially because they're no longer producing them. And this is sitting about 6 bones. Here's 6 stack for about 7, and then it kind of just trickles up after that. And only 2 pages available, so you guys can kind of figure out what you guys want to do with that. Next card is going to be Thunder Dragon Colossus. So for a while, Thunder Dragons were going down. They got a couple reprints, and that really kind of pulled with the 2019 Gold Star tins. It really kind of pulled down the values a lot, which was really great. Made this deck a little bit more affordable. When this deck first dropped, it was just like annihilating everything in the meta. It was pretty incredible. It was just naturally devastating. Really cool artwork, really powerful effects. A really just kind of fast turbo deck. There's a lot of great things that you can do. It's a pretty diverse deck. A lot of great searcher cards. And of course, you know, OTS 10 donned the ultimate rare of Colossus, which is pretty great. My personal favorite is the secret rares, though. There was also a ultra rare, which I mean looks like crap compared to the secret rare and the ultimate rares. But this is the OG secret rare. I would personally, if I was you guys, I would invest in this one. Don't get me wrong, the ultimate rare looks very nice too, but also has a pretty fat price tag. I would definitely recommend if you guys want to get a nice rarity at a little bit more reasonable price point. I would go with the OG secret rares. Excuse me. And it's sitting about 8-9 bones, which I really think is not that bad. I think 10 bones and under for this, specifically for the first edition. You guys always go first edition, I promise you. That's kind of just what you have to do. If it comes in first edition, get it. It's always going to be worth it. As long as you can get it at, you know, a reasonable price point or trade or whatever, however it is that you guys decide to get your cardboard. So this is a very reasonable price. This is still a really prevalent card. I think this is at 1, wasn't it? Didn't they move it to 1? Anyway, Thunder Dragons is something I've always wanted to build. I need to really stop being lazy. This is something I really want to build, and I think that now is a really good time to pull the trigger on Colossus, because OG Secret Original prints are sitting about 10, a little under 10, so I think that's pretty great. Great time to go ahead and take a look at that. Next is going to be Majesty's Fiend. This is the original OG Secret Rare. I'm really surprised at the price point of this card, being that Primal Origin is a relatively older set now. This is a high rarity of being a secret rare. Really cool artwork, really blowout effect. I thought this was 2 tributes at once, but it's not. I was wrong. That's inaccurate. It's actually 1 tribute. And for what it is, this is pretty blowout. So same stats as all the Majesty's cards, but this is just it's got a really great effect. It's pretty blowout, and I'm really surprised that a lot of people don't use this. I mean, they kind of just establish your board, and then bust this out, and then your opponent kind of just like stare at your opponent and laugh at them as they struggle to kind of figure out what they're going to do with their life. The first edition is sitting around 4-ish, 5 bones. There's a 1 of, and then there's another one for 5 bones here. So this is a very reasonable price. There's 5+ pages of this. I think for what this is, I think that it's definitely a really, really good price point. So I would definitely take a look. I think it's definitely worth taking a gander, taking a few moments to look at that. Next is going to be Mystical Space Typhoon. There's a whopping 51 results of this. I think this is probably the most reprinted card in all of the game. If you guys know another card that has more prints, I would be really interested in knowing that, because 51 is a pretty legendary number for reprints. There's the Ultimate Rare, of course, just holding a great price point from Astral Pack 8. There's the Ghost Gold ones, which are personally my favorite. Well, probably the OG first edition Magic Rulers, because kind of just the nostalgia factor and just being the original prints would probably be the MRL ones. But second bet would definitely be the Ghost Gold from Haunted Mine. This, again, still to this day, Haunted Mine is the only set to release Magic and Traps in Ghost rarity. Now, granted, these are Ghost Gold. They are still very much Ghost cards, and it's pretty incredible. About 20 bones, that kind of trickles up after this. There's 3 pages of this, so this is definitely holding some great price points. It's definitely been increasing over the years as the Ghost Golds have become more scarce on the market. There also is secret rare versions and DT versions, which I think are really healthy alternatives as well. And I'm gonna say I'm not really a big fan of the ultimate. It's too dark. I mean, it's still cool because it's ultimate, but it takes away from the artwork. You can't really see it. But the Crown Jewel is going to be the original Magic Ruler print specifically. This is just great. No, there's just so much history behind this. It's a quick play. It's a simple 1-for-1. It's got really cool artwork, and it's just got a lot going on for this card. Unlimiteds are, a couple bones here. There's about 5 pages on the market, and let's see if we can dig up a first edition really quick for you guys, because especially for something like this, it's definitely fully transitioned into the collector's market, and just the age of this card and just kind of the history behind this makes it just a perfect target for collector's market. I'm really surprised there's actually a first edition here under 20 bones. My rule of thumb is if you can get this card lightly played first edition, specifically first edition only, for 20 bones or less, I think that is a really great investment. This card, again, for all the reasons I stated before, is just, it's got a lot going for it. So, and you guys can kind of dig in further if you guys want to see some more variants, because it really didn't look like there was a lot of availability on that first page that had first editions. So again, specifically for MST, I would say first go for the Ghost Gold, then it would be, well, actually, if you can, OG first edition MRL, then Ghost Gold, then probably Secret Rare from either Legendary Collection 3 or 4. These sets ran parallel. They reprinted a lot of the same stuff and the same rarities. And then it would be the Dual Terminal 1, which is really cool because it was actually the first Dual Terminal 2, which makes it older, a little more collectible. Really quickly, I wanted to review Pharaoh Servant. This is one of my all-time old-school OG sets. This is got a lot of great stuff in here. The OG prints of Lava Golem first edition are holding some really great price points. Ring of Destruction, it's kind of, they errated it, so it kind of hurt a whole lot. Don's Loop first edition is holding some really great price points too. I apologize, I'm trying to kind of wrap up this video, so I'm going to turbo through this a little bit, so you guys are going to have to do a little bit of the footwork on this. I just wanted to kind of showcase this really quick just to get your minds wrapped around the idea of Pharaonic Guardian, so you guys can kind of go and, do a little investigation yourself. Hellpoomer specifically, so this is the cover card of the actual booster pack. If you guys actually had the opportunity to see the packs, they has in the background, this is like the cover boy card. I think this is a perfect target to go into collector's value. It's already kind of started to. There's really not a whole lot of first editions on the market. Again, this is never really going to be a playable card. I mean, it's a fiend, it's a dark, its stats are kind of like whatever. It's the artwork. It's the artwork, the history, and kind of where this card sits in the span of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Spectrum that holds good value. Unlimiteds naturally are not really going to be worth much of anything, at least yet. Only 2 pages left of this, so definitely, being very, very tuned up on the market. The first edition is going to be about 15 bones. Again, with this card, I think anything under 20 bones, specifically, exclusively, only for the first editions, is going to be a fantastic investment. I would check maybe Amazon, eBay. Obviously, there's not a lot of first edition prints here on the market. It bottoms out at 25, which really isn't that bad. There's a 5-stack near mint as well. But I would definitely try to get this for roughly around 20. Anything under 20 or less, I think, is a great investment. I think this has amazing potential to grow over time. Thank you so much for watching these videos. I hope you guys are making some fantastic investments yourself. I have social media. The link is going to be below. Facebook is the best way to get a hold of me. I would love to hear from each and every one of you. Yu-Gi-Oh! Has been a big part of my life. And it's just a great hobby and a passion of mine. I've invested so much funds and time in this game, and I would just, if you guys want to make recommendations, if there's a certain card that you guys want me to feature in my videos, or if you guys just want to talk Yu-Gi-Oh! I also get on online dueling systems as well, so if you want to message me, maybe we can have a game or something. I think that would be really cool. I'm very interested in getting to know each and every one of you, and I really respect and value all of your guys' opinions. I love your comments, and I just love trying to make fellowship and a community with Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. This has been a showcasing by The White Mexican, and I'll see you in the next video.